water cooler, everybody. A lot to talk about. I got to tell you, don't get me started. How many times do I have to say Mr. Potato Head? That's right, I'm going to say it, Mr. Potato Head. Go ahead, take me off the air. What do I care? I know it's Potato Head, my bad. No, it's Mr. Potato Head. Anyhow, the reason I'm talking about all this is because it's all about cancel culture. We know the term, and to discuss that and a lot more, Eric Greitens is here, the former governor of Missouri and the former, not a former Navy SEAL, a Navy SEAL.
A Navy SEAL, and I will say
Yes.
a former and hopefully one day future guest host of the water cooler. One of the highlights of my life, David, coming on, like getting to guest host for you, sitting in the chair. Always loved it.
I would love that. Madison, can we have a super underneath his title? Hey, can you sign the contract right here to be a
Yeah,
future?
happy to.
Okay, great. All right, cancel culture.
Yeah.
I mean, take it away. Dr. Seuss, Potato Head, what's happening here
Well,
in
look,
America?
think about what Donald Trump did when he came into office. He came into office and he defeated ISIS. Think about what Joe Biden did when he came into office. He came in and he attacked Dr. Seuss. Okay? I mean, look, the lunacy of the left and the kind of wacky woke priorities that we're seeing out of the Biden administration just indicate the huge distance between liberals and leftists and what's really happening among real Americans, what they care about. Right now, we have a crisis at the border that Joe Biden inspired. You have violence and crime rising across the United States of America. Real people are getting hurt. You have millions of kids who still aren't in school and should be. And what's Joe Biden do? They're taking on Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes no sense. And it's an indication of why you saw at CPAC, this tremendous support for the president.
Yeah.
Because people want a fighter who's willing to put America first, and it's clearly not what the left is doing.
Well, and Trump tapped into that. There's no
Yes.
doubt about it. Here's the question on cancel culture. We think it's bad now. I mean, it can get a whole lot worse.
Yes.
Real quick. Where's this going?
Well, look, think about what they've done here, okay? So first they came in and they said, well, we're going to attack the President of the United States, and they're attacking Donald Trump, and they're deplatforming him from Twitter and from Facebook and YouTube. Big tech came in and did that. And keep in mind, they also came in, let's not forget, before the election, and they silenced bad stories about Joe Biden. Remember, the
That's
New York
exactly right.
Post had these explosive, well-researched, well-documented stories about Hunter Biden and his activities in China, his activities in the Ukraine. And big tech said, you can't even share those stories. They came in to squash freedom of speech. And now they're going after these bedrock elements of American culture. Look, if they're going to take on Dr. Seuss, if they're going to take out Mr. Potato Head, I even heard, and I'm very worried about this, that they might be taking out Curious George.
Come on.
No, it's a real thing. They're attacking because Curious George apparently came over on a boat and
Africa with the monkey.
Right,
Oh,
it's like,
my gosh.
no, this is what they're
my
doing,
gosh.
David. And that's why it is so important that we have to have people who are willing to stand up and fight, because it won't end.
Yeah.
It won't end. This is what they're doing. They're pushing this as far as they can take it. But when Americans stand up and they say, not in my school, not in my community, not in my neighborhood, that's when it comes to an end.
Well, I said the other day on the air, I said, what about, I mean, I was being facetious, but maybe it could come true. Captain Crunch, he's a white guy with a title. I mean, why in the world, why is a white man a captain? I mean, is that not, that's white privilege, is it not? Am I missing something, folks?
The craziness of what they're doing has really started to infect society. And unfortunately, like, look, it's obviously ridiculous what they're doing with Dr. Seuss and Potato Head. But what's not ridiculous is what's happening at the border. What's not ridiculous is what's happening with violent crime rising across the country. What's not ridiculous is the fact that you have millions of kids, not just who are out of school, but there are a lot of kids in this country who come from difficult backgrounds. When they go to school, they get love, they get attention, they get support, they have a role model, they have a mentor, and those kids have been separated from all of that. Kids with learning disabilities, they need to be in school, and not just for the academics, but also the social and emotional development. And what it shows is that the left is also heartless. They're really lacking in compassion because their policies are hurting real people.
I'm sorry. I thought the right was heartless. I thought conservatives were the ones that were heartless.
Well, this is the big lie from the left, is that they're going to push all of these policies. But when you actually look at who helps people, President Donald Trump's economy brought about broad-based economic prosperity. You look at those numbers before coronavirus hit, and wages were rising across America.
That's right.
And people who'd been struggling, they were being helped. People were making more money when President Trump was in office because he had those policies that worked. And I always say, if you really care about people, then you have to care about the results of what your policies create.
That's right.
The problem with leftist intellectuals is they don't have to deal with the bad consequences of their bad ideas.
That's right.
You know, they live in these gated communities completely disconnected from reality, but we real Americans suffer from their bad ideas.
Well, and Trump always dealt with the results. You know,
Yes.
he was always focused on the results
Yes.
and the etiquette. Well, on Twitter.
Yes.
You know. So speaking of Trump, where does
Yeah.
this Republican Party go exactly? We just got about a minute and a half or so left.
Yeah.
What's your sense of this? Is clearly Trump's party. I mean, he's the kingmaker.
Yes.
I just wonder if he sucks all the oxygen out, and you know, just wonder people like Pompeo, who we had on the show yesterday, and you got some other folks,
Yeah.
Nikki Haley, Ted Cruz. I mean, DeSantis. You wonder where this is going to all kind of move itself forward here.
Yeah, my strong sense is that, look, President Trump has obviously put his stamp on this party. He's clearly in the driver's seat, but
Yeah.
there is a big fight. It's a big fight between the establishment and people who are willing to put America first, between the swamp and the career politicians and the insiders and the real fighters, not the rhinos, not the establishment. You know, we need to recognize just because somebody has an R behind their name does not mean that they're really fighting for conservatives in the American people. We need real fighters.
Yeah, and Mitch McConnell, by the way, no, he wasn't at CPAC.
No.
Mitt Romney, not at CPAC.
Right.
Ben Sass, not at CPAC,
Right.
which is a very different CPAC from past years when everybody was kind of there.
Well, and let's also say this about CPAC. Here's the great news. Look at the energy. Look at the optimism.
Unbelievable.
Look at the sense of hope. Look at the fun. I mean, the left is going out there killing comedy. They're going after Curious George, Mr. Potato Head. And on the right, what do you see? A sense of fun, a sense of joy, a sense of optimism and hope. That's what we need to have in the Republican Party.
Well, I 100% agree with you. I mean, and they always talk about Republicans, the conservatives are the ones that are uptight. Reverse.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
Eric Greitens, great to
Thanks.
see you, sir.
Thanks, David. Appreciate
Navy
you, sir.
SEAL, not a former Navy SEAL. Navy SEAL.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you. All right, we've got a lot more show coming up, including, so the last sip is coming up, and it has to do with Nancy Pelosi. And let me just say, did you know that she's really happy to introduce the 45th president of the United States? That's right, she said it. She didn't introduce Donald Trump. And boy, oh boy, do we have a nice little blooper reel for you in a moment.